for $50,000 cash, you now own a house. You think, well, then you find out it actually belonged to his uncle, and his uncle has just been gone for the last 3 years, and you don't actually own it. And then you get sued, and you're out 50 grand because the guy you paid is down in Mexico drinking tequila, and you're thinking, what happened? I bought this, it's mine, I got a deed.
Hey folks, Cameron Stewart here with eXp Realty right out of Rome, New York, serving you right here in the Mohawk Valley. I'm with Colin LaRoe again today, all right, from Goldbass and LaRoe Attorneys at Law right in downtown Utica. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about real estate, about the closing process, specifically what an attorney does for their clients on the buying and the selling aspect, what they're looking to do to protect you, and a little bit about the costs associated with that. That's also a big question. Before we dive into that, once again, this series is here to educate as best we can about all aspects of real estate. Today we're talking with Colin from an attorney aspect and the closing aspect, but we're also going to be sitting down with insurance agents, lenders. We want to educate as much as we can about real estate and all the different aspects of it. So without further ado, Colin, thanks for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing well, Cameron. Thanks for having me again.
My pleasure. Colin, let's dive right into this, okay? What's the overall role of an attorney in a real estate transaction?
Sure. So, you found a house or you decided to sell your house and somebody found it and they want to buy, right? We're not really involved with that process. We're not showing you houses. That's what you do, Cameron, right? Our job is to make sure the transaction closes, right? It's not like buying and selling on eBay or you sold your car to the guy down the street. When you're selling real estate, there's title that has to be clear. You got to make sure you're buying the piece of property and it's only yours, right? So you can enjoy it, do with it what you want, whether you want to live in it, whether you want to rent it out, whether you want to flip it, right? Our job is to make sure that you are buying or selling a property that you will own or did own and have the right to do so without any liens or encumbrances or anybody else, including the tax man coming in and saying, whoa, 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 this is mine, you can't do that, I'm taking it back, right? So our job is to make sure that a transaction closes and that you know exactly what you're getting and why you're getting it.
And I'm assuming there's a lot that goes into that, right? In making sure that that title is clear, correct?
Certainly. So, let me give you a really rough example. Your neighbor says, hey, I'm going to sell you this house. And you say, great. He goes, give me 50 grand and it's yours. I'll sign it right now. You buy this place for $50,000 cash. You now own a house. You think, well, then you find out it actually belonged to his uncle, and his uncle has just been gone for the last 3 years, and you don't actually own it. And then you get sued, and you're out 50 grand because the guy you paid is down in Mexico drinking tequila, and you're thinking, what happened? I bought this, it's mine, I got a deed. Well, did it get recorded correctly? There's a lot of issues. So there's title, it's recorded, there's taxes that are due. You have to make sure you have good and marketable title that you own that property.
Absolutely. Now, Colin, can you shed some light onto how much this costs for, let's say, a single family residential purchase or sale?
Certainly. So your attorney fee, right? So there's a lot of other costs, including bank fees and closing costs and appraisals and all this other stuff. But in the Mohawk Valley, which is nice, what I found is your attorney's fees are going to be between $500 and $1,000, probably closer to the $700 range. Really depends. But for a single family residence, that's what you might be looking at just for your attorney fee. Again, there's going to be some other fees, and that's, whether you're buying or selling. Sellers sometimes have some additional costs as well. But when you're talking about what is my lawyer going to charge me for the work he's doing, you're looking at probably a minimum of $5,000, probably a maximum of $1,000.
Okay. Now, I assume if someone were to be looking into an investment property with, let's say, multiple units, maybe a 4-unit property or even commercial, I'm assuming they could probably expect to pay a little more for that closing. Would that be accurate?
Correct. So if you're 4 and under in an investment, meaning 4 units, you might have some additional costs because there's some additional work, right? We got to make sure the tenants are in there and they're paying, or they're not damaging the property, if there's separate utilities, if there's a lot of factors going into that. But, with a 4 and under, you might be looking about the same cost for a residential. When you talk commercial, a lot of different issues that might come up. So a lot of times it's based more on a percentage. Often it could be about 1% of the purchase price. So, if you're buying $1 million property, you could probably afford 1% for an attorney's fee. If you're buying a $200 property, 1% is only $2, right? I'm just making up numbers here, but it's generally a percentage when you get into commercial and bigger multi-unit properties.
Gotcha. Now, last question for you. Have you had a situation where you've been able to, let's say you had a buyer client and you found something in the title or, chain of custody. Have you ever had a situation like that where you saved someone a bunch of money by making sure that they didn't purchase a dud?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, sometimes you get all the way to the closing table and they say, oh, by the way, here's a $7,000 water bill that we didn't bring up initially and nobody knew about it. We say, to the buyer, you can't buy this. I won't advise you to buy this unless you want to pay an extra $7,000. So, there's certainly cases and situations in which you get a contract, everybody's happy, everything's good. And then we get the title back, or we review the abstract, and it shows that there was a bankruptcy that was recorded and nobody took care of, or there's outstanding tax warrants, and that if you buy this property, you may be subject to paying off those taxes. And then there's other less risks. Sometimes you might see a 39-year-old tax warrant for $300, and we can kind of say to our client, you could probably be worried about that, but for $300, the worst it's going to happen for an almost 40-year-old issue is you might have to pay that. So you never know what's going to come up, and that's kind of what's exciting about real estate. But that's why we always recommend someone gets an attorney, because again, you are not buying a pair of boots on eBay. You are buying a piece of property that has taxes on it, has possible liens and other encumbrances. So you got to be real careful on that.
And it's probably the largest purchase that someone's going to make in their lifetime, right?
In this area, certainly. I mean, some people are buying Lear jets and stuff, but it's Mohawk Valley. I'm assuming probably, the biggest and most important purchase for you and your family is going to be where you reside. So absolutely.
So $500 to $1,000 to protect that investment, for lack of better terms, is a pretty fair price, if you ask me.
I would say so. Absolutely.
So Colin, take a moment. I'm sure someone watching right now has a question for you specifically. If they wanted to reach out to you and ask a question, how could they get a hold of you?
Sure. Colin, that's COLIN at Goldbass Law, GOLDBAS law.com is my email address. Our phone number, 315-724-2248. Our website, goldbasslaw.com, right? So we're on Facebook. We got a website. Google's a wonderful thing because you can find just about any answer to any question. So,
and you're right in downtown Utica, so you're pretty accessible too. Obviously outside of the COVID restrictions right now, but you're local.
Yeah, right in downtown Utica, the Adirondack Bank building. And you might run into me at any of the various coffee shops down there. So, we're out and about, and we're happy to talk about real estate to anyone who's willing to listen.
Awesome. Colin, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Cameron. Thanks again.
Folks, we'll talk to you guys soon. Once again, this is Cameron Stewart, licensed real estate agent with eXp Realty out of Rome, New York, serving the Mohawk Valley. Colin LaRoe from Goldbass and LaRoe Attorneys at Law in downtown Utica. We look forward to talking to you guys soon. Thank you.